Good afternoon and welcome to this media briefing. My name is Martin Seman. I'm with the United Nations Department of Global Communications. Very happy to welcome you here at the Second World Summit for Social Development in Doha, Qatar. You can't hear in the interpretation? Can we get the... So this is in English and Spanish. You should have interpretation devices. It's working. Good. So as I said, you have interpretation devices if you need them. This, on 19 June 2024, the UN General Assembly proclaimed 2025 as the International Year of Cooperatives under the theme, Cooperatives Build a Better World. The year was officially launched in New Delhi last year, and just an hour ago, it officially concluded here in Doha. Today's briefing brings together key partners who help deliver and celebrate the International Year of Cooperatives. And we'll hear from Ariel Guarco, President of the International Cooperative Alliance, the Honorable Monica Mutsvangwa, Minister of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprises Development of Zimbabwe, Sean Tarbuck, Chair of CM50, and Konstantinos Papadakis, Principal Social Affairs Officer at UNDESA. Mr. Guarco, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone. It is a sheer pleasure for me to be part of this press conference for the International Cooperative Alliance. This has been an amazing journey, quite an emotive one, during which we seize this Second World Summit for Social Development in Doha in order to have and put forward three major projects. First and foremost, presenting the World Cooperative Monitor in its 2025 edition, which provides the cooperative ecosystem the data that is necessary to do this advocacy vis-à-vis NGO and the political arena, as well as all who deem that they can be part of this journey that the United Nations suggests, and that the International Cooperative Alliance puts forward, i.e. building a better world. We also wanted to present our 2026-2030 strategy. We used the International Year of Cooperatives to, seize the SDGs that are in our DNA and have been part of our DNA over 200 years in order to face this challenge and to carry forward the 2020-2030 agenda so that the world can be safer, more inclusive, more pacific, better. And finally, we presented CM50, a proposal for a new economy. We have signed a contract for a new global economy, which is centered around people, that is bottom-up, that is based in the communities in all regions, striving to getting something global, because we understand that challenges are global, but that they can be solved through all cooperatives, through all cooperators who day in, day out work in order to find solutions to those global challenges. So if you have any questions, we will be there, and this is what we have tried to do over this Second World Summit in order to close officially this year, which started last November and which is now finalized this month of November. Thank you very much.
Bangwa, you have the floor.
Thank you very much once again. It is really an honor for me to speak to you about the importance of cooperatives. And before I even speak about what is happening in my own country, Zimbabwe, as government, we realize the potential which is there for making sure that we put services, we put finances, we put skills to our cooperatives, because that will certainly take a lot of our people. It has got a wider reach with what is happening already in the country. But let me thank the ICA for launching the Cooperatives and Mutuals SECO CM50. Certainly, CM50 will strengthen cooperative leadership, and together as countries, as CSOs, as development partners, as partners, will go very, very far in building our cooperatives. We are happy that it has been declared, 2025 has been declared by UN as a year of cooperatives. And yes, truly to the fact, the government of Zimbabwe recognizes the important role of cooperatives and the society. They bring cohesion among communities. We find that a lot of our youth needs to be more educated about cooperatives. We have seen cooperatives playing a very critical role in the economic development of our countries. And as such, they require the capacity building, they require access to finance, they require digital skills so that they can reach the wider market. Because whatever produce they are coming up with, we need to be able to make sure that they sell them. We are also working very closely with CSOs and development partners to make sure that we give them these capabilities, and the cooperatives in our country are clearly playing that role. They are bringing more than 60% of the GDP. We have more than 3 million cooperators in a country of 17 million. So Zimbabwe acknowledges that, and as such, we've put quite a number of policies to make sure that we rebrand cooperative. And we also continue with that service to make sure that cooperatives are drivers of innovation, industrialization, job creation, food and nutrition security, wealth generation, and overall national development of our country. Awareness is what we do as a ministry, and in making sure that we coordinate everyone who is working with the cooperatives to continue to grow. I think together, this is truly a new global economic declaration. We will go very far, and as government, we are ready to cooperate, to collaborate in many ways so that our cooperatives continue to bring the economic developments in our own countries. I thank you sincerely.
Thank you, Ms. Mutsvangwa. Mr. Torbuck, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. The CM50 is a new initiative, just started about a year ago. We have 50 business leaders from around the world, some of the largest businesses in the world, as we've just seen with the release of the World Cooperative Monitor. We've got 3 of the largest co-ops in the world, one in banking, one in insurance, one in consumer retail, all different countries, all of them over 90 billion in turnover. Collectively, the 300 bring together nearly $3 trillion of turnover in a year. And we also found out that collectively our assets together amount to around about $30 trillion of assets. To put that into context, stock companies around the world in every country collectively accumulate to 140 trillion. The cooperative sector is 30 trillion. So we are not a small part of the sector. And we found out in this afternoon's presentations that 50% of agricultural output comes from cooperatives around the world. Feeding from those gives us the food security that we need. And also you'll find the farmers of the world create insurance companies, they create banks, they create purchasing cooperatives, they create consumer cooperatives. So a lot of it comes from the farming sector, of which we are actually the dominant player in the world. I do think from the finance and the insurance side, my background is the insurance part. We are 27% of the world's insurance market, with some of the largest markets, US, Germany, France, Sweden, all have nearly 50% of the market share in their industry alone. The challenge we have there is 27% of the world's insurance market is Corp and Mutual, 32% is in the developing world and increasing very quickly. 2.3% is in the developed world. In developing world is 2.3%. and decreasing. So we really need to bridge that gap. We need to work at the insurance sector in all of the emerging countries, because it is the social protection net that we all need. We also launched, as was alluded to before, a contract for a new global economy. This is what the CM50 leaders have decided over the last 3 meetings that they've had face-to-face. There are 4 commitments in there. One is creating a resilient economies through cooperation. Number 2 is unlocking capital and access to capital. And number 3 is building a cooperative digital ecosystem. I thought the one that caught my attention there is that cooperatives are 4 times the size of Amazon. So we really need to have our own digital distribution system. And then lastly, it's about the education and building the next generation of cooperative and mutual leaders. So we have built this in isolation, but ironically, maybe not ironically, because we are very akin to our UN brothers and our governments in that the Doha Agreement, which was agreed this morning, the text there right at the beginning, it says, build a more just, inclusive, equitable and sustainable world. That's what we do. So we are aligned in our vision. And when we overlaid all of the 15 commitments or the targets that are in the Doha Agreement, all 15 are being done by ourselves as well. We have commitments, those 4 commitments. We have sectors that are delivering on all of those. So we really are aligned in this. This is what I think is going to be a public-private partnership that is going to change the world, which is why we've called it a contract for a new global economy. We can't do this by ourselves. We are having a go at ourselves, but we really want to crowd in our new friends from the governments, from the UN, because I think we can be more powerful. Because let's face it, I've been around long enough to know that we are not the first people as private sector or as businesses that governments tend to go to. They do tend to be the multinationals. We hope, and that's my plea now, is that this is going to change. And I say, our friends here, we need to build these communities ourselves. So the businesses that create the economies, that create the wealth, the decent jobs in those countries, stay in those countries, and they don't go external to international players.
Thank you very much. We'll hand over the floor to Mr. Papadakis.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege to share some of the remarkable momentum that generated the 2025 International Year of Cooperatives. I speak on behalf of the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs, and I would like to extend, first of all, the sincere thanks to the government, civil society, the cooperative movement more broadly, which contributed to making this year a very successful year in terms of creating a momentum for the promotion and development of cooperatives around the world. In collaboration with the Committee for the Promotion and Advancement of Cooperatives, the COPAC, which was the coordinating body of the International Year of Cooperatives, we have managed to amplify the voice of cooperatives at the national and international levels through knowledge sharing, policy dialogue, research, and advocacy. Now, several briefs were produced, data, information, in order to better advocate in favor of the cooperative movement. We also advocated a number of topics. On the contribution of the cooperative movement in terms of promoting social development, and many of the themes which are today addressed in the Doha political declaration adopted earlier, the contribution of cooperatives in terms of promoting living wages, social protection for all, skilling, upskilling, a safe working environment, etc. Now, some figures from the International Cooperative Year also show the global reach of this movement. By mid-2025, we had thousands of visitors of our dedicated website. over some 1,000 entities used the logo of the International Year of Cooperatives across 124 countries. At the national level, the UN took aboard in their cooperation frameworks with governments the promotion of cooperatives. And of course, we have had a number of best practices which were disseminated during this year and which show the way forward. I would like to conclude by stressing a point that the UN and the cooperative movement have been stressing on many occasions. Cooperatives do make a tangible difference in terms of promoting or helping to promote the attainment of the three main pillars of the Doha Declaration, namely eradication of poverty, the promotion of decent work and social inclusion. Yet, to maximize the potential, we as governments, as UN, as members of the cooperative movement, we need to do more in 5 areas. The first is raising awareness of what cooperatives are about and the transformative difference they can make in the world of work and the broader society. Second, we need to strengthen the enabling environments for cooperatives. Governments and global agencies must support cooperatives to start, grow, and thrive, and this implies appropriate legal frameworks, access to finance, etc., as also reminded in the Doha Political Declaration specifically. Third, we need to elevate the voices of cooperatives within multilateral processes to ensure that they remain central within the broader development discourse. Fourth, we need to further develop research with a view to better understanding the needs of cooperatives, but also the real impact of cooperatives in terms of social development. And finally, from a UN perspective, as we look forward, our aim is to deepen the integration of cooperatives and their voice within the UN work, the different bodies we have in the area of social development, such as the Commission for Social Development, etc. Those are just a few remarks, and at your disposal for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you to all the speakers. If we have any questions from the members of the press.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Harvey from Cooperative Press. We're based in the UK and we write about cooperatives. I have 2 questions for the panel, please. Firstly, Sean, you spoke about working with friends from the UN and with governments. So what commitments to cooperatives do you want to see from these organisations? And I'd like to ask that to the whole panel, please. And then secondly, today we saw the official closing of the UN International Year of Cooperatives. So my question to the panel for that is, what happens next? Thank you.
Who would like to start? Go ahead.
I think the first one was targeted at me, maybe the second one for everyone. I don't know.
Sure.
Is that right? Yeah, working with governments and the UN. The UN is a brilliant convening body. It's a mutual. Its members are the nation states, the 196 member states, and what they have access to is the leveraging the enabling environment, which is number 1 in the Doha Agreement, to enable the growth of co-ops and mutuals. And it's quite remarkable like that. The number I can quote you is, again, from the insurance sector, is 40% of the world's countries do not allow you to set up a cooperative and mutual insurer. It's illegal. So you have to set it up as a stock company. Now, I'm not saying that's applicable in other sectors. I think it's probably fine. You can set co-ops and mutuals up in most countries. It just needs a few people to come together to start them. But I do think the enabling environment is quite key. And I'll quote one country, Indonesia, which is doing a lot. They weren't able to come here, apparently. The minister was due to be here, the cooperative minister, but had to cry off at the last minute because they weren't allowed to travel. But they, from the Prime Minister's desk, are investing in the 80,000 villages within Indonesia at the tune of $250,000 per village to build a cooperative ecosystem. So that they have the agriculture, they have the fisheries, the pharmacy, the healthcare, the credit unions, the insurance. All of those will be built within each village. So every village will be a cooperative ecosystem in its own right, and then it'll all come into a group. So that's ambitious. And they're looking to one of our CM50 members, Graham Clark, from Asia Affinity, to help roll that out. And they're doing that through the existing 70,000 co-ops in Indonesia. That's one example of what a country could do. I'll just give one other one. Card MBA in the Philippines started 25 years ago with nothing. It's a women-led, 100% women cooperative for social security net. It's insurance, if you want to call it that. They don't call it that. They just call it, this is our disaster protection system that they have in place. They now, in 25 years, cover 25, I think it's up to 30 million people in the Philippines now. So that's nearly a third of the whole population are covered with one insurer, and their premiums are next to nothing. But everyone benefits, and they do a lot of education through it. They teach you how to react in disasters. So it's not an early warning system, but it's a system that helps them build back better when they finish. Now, Card MBA are registered in 5 or 6 other Southeast Asian countries for a business to start up as a co-op. And so I think it's Vietnam, Laos, Myanmar, Indonesia, Thailand. They've got offices set up, but the governments won't allow them to start. So there's a problem. Now, in those countries, that's 600 odd million people live in those countries. 25, 30% of the market could be helped through a social protection net that they provide if they were allowed to. And that's where we need you guys, you governments, UN. We're not powerful enough to make that change. And we've tried over 10 years to make that change. It doesn't happen. So there's 2 examples, I think, that we really could work stronger together, but we need to have the will to want to do that. And so that's probably my plea.
Thank you very much. I just want to say, as government, it is very critical that we come up with reviewing. We need to review our legal frameworks to see if it can actually help our cooperatives. We understand the declaration provides that platform and leverages all the 190 member states, so that we have been provided now with the enabling environment. And it is up now to each member state to come up with policies which will really drive innovation, industrialization. We can't afford to slow down on this, because all countries are developing economies. And when we talk about cooperatives, we are really talking about the people, the women, the youth, and we can't afford to leave behind those if we are going to achieve sustainable development. So reviewing, making sure that we give them digital skills capacitation, it's what governments are going to continue to do. We are also going to rebrand even the cooperative societies themselves. Good governance, to see that they succeed, to see that they're sustainable in what they're doing. We're also looking at financial access. Access to finances is always a problem. To teach financial inclusion, to make sure we don't leave anyone behind when it comes to financial inclusion. So we will also promote savings and credit cooperatives. Those have really transformed families at grassroots level. When it's in my country, the savings and credit started with women coming together, 100 of them. They started by sharing groceries end of the month. They went on to do kitchen utensils. From there, they moved on to lounge suits, and now they are giving each other cars. So we want to continue to register them and make sure that they have a constitution, and also we are able to do dispute resolutions, because that's, again, we need a proper mechanisms for dispute resolutions. So we'll continue working with everybody, and C50 is truly a platform, a good platform for us to learn and strengthen the leadership of cooperatives. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to add something, Mr. Torberg?
Could I just give another case study as well, which I think would really benefit from more organizations getting behind, and it's heat. Heat is going to be the biggest killer. It already is. We're warming up because of climate change. There was a heat initiative launched 2 years ago in COP28. Hillary Clinton was behind it. It was an American organization, the Atlantic Council, that set it up. And it was working with a cooperative in India called the Self-Employed Women's Association, which is one of our members. And basically, it was as simple as the women that work in the fields, that pick the tea, that work in the agricultural space, would work through when the temperature got above 40 degrees because they didn't want to lose their income. So they set up a parametric insurance program that allowed them to go home and their day's salary would be put straight into their bank account that day. So they weren't losing a day's income because cash is king.
Right.
You can't wait for your claim to be months down the line. So it comes immediately, so they don't mind going home because they're the breadwinners very often in that family. Now that initiative started out with a real bang, an awful lot of media coverage and everything, and it kind of died a death. And Hillary pulled out of it. The stock company that was behind it pulled out of it. I believe it's now sitting with an organization called Ibiza, which is a weather parametric insurer. But I think they themselves would need need help from governments to scale that up. Imagine doing that across that equator, that central band, and taking that to all the women that work in the fields. And it's not expensive. In fact, it was free. But maybe that's freemiums is a different issue. But even if it does cost, it's not going to cost a lot, and it has instant impact. So it's not like traditional insurance. I wouldn't even call it insurance, but it's a solution to one of the biggest killers we're going to see, heat.
Thank you for that example. Mr. Papadakis, would you like to answer the second question?
Yes, about the next
What happens next? Thank you.
I think we all agree that we need to create an enabling environment. So from the UN perspective, we remain at the disposal of governments to provide the technical advice, help in capacity building, and especially in 3 areas. The first is, of course, the appropriate legal legislation for cooperatives to be able to develop and to be sustainable. The second is in the area of education. We need to create a cooperative culture through education and training systems that promote actually the cooperative values from the very early stages of the education. And the third is research. We need to better and more consistent statistics on cooperatives in order to inform policy and legislation and to measure the real economic impact and social impact of cooperatives. So for the moment, most of the data we're using in order to collect the good practices and understand cooperatives and their impact are pretty fragmented. They remain anecdotal. So what we are right now doing in collaboration or within COPAC is precisely to develop a statistical framework for a systematic collection of comprehensive and disaggregated data to assess cooperatives' contribution to national development. As also mentioned in another meeting yesterday, I mean, what you do not measure, you cannot improve. So perhaps also to conclude by saying that the UN is also exploring the possibility of proclaiming an International Year of Cooperatives every 10 years. And there is a draft resolution currently on the desk of my colleagues, and we look forward to the adoption of the resolution by the Secretary General and the General Assembly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Guarco, would you like to close us out? A couple of minutes. Thank you. The question is, what happens next?
Of course, my pleasure. The Secretary General Guterres just took the floor during this summit and said that the poverty indexes were dropping, that employment was dropping and had dropped from the first to the second summit, that healthcare had increased. But actually, today the world is horrendous, unfair. It leads to exclusions, to refugees. There are climate crises, one after the next. More and more people work and are living precariousness. They have no possibility for development whatsoever. More and more people are in conflict with other people. So I think that our contribution, if we bear in mind the experiences here that are extremely interesting, and we have thousands of stories to tell, well, our contribution needs to be to identify what has led us here. To us, things are clear. It's the reigning economic system that takes away possibilities from people and that gets hold of main capitals. We have a social and cultural and environmental system that empowers people, that put economic in the hands of people, the economy in the hands of people for the common well-being. This is what we can put on the table to make progress, to advance to a truly sustainable world. We haven't made it by ourselves. As Sean has said, we have worked with the other stakeholders, but the UN or governments by themselves can't make it on their own either. If we take into account what has been happening since the First World War, if we want more equity and put an end to the war, well, we need to be together, work hand in hand together to make our voices heard, to make understand that yes, we can build a world which is better if we act together. Thank you.